Anybody that's not here that can get you guys to this point?
We
You
can
have
easily
someone-
done it.
Okay. So, because if you don't,
You showed us last time we were here
Okay.
with a good clutch already done.
okay, because I was say if you don't, you can bring the sleds here like the first time that you want to get it done.
Okay.
At least bring one sled in. We'll just bring it right in the shop and do it. But you guys need to get your tools, so then I'll use your tools. But we'll just do it here. Okay.
Yep.
Then I'll tell you. Okay, here's the tools. But I'll
You need
just
a puller, the
yeah, I'll
holder.
watch you do it, and I'll watch you two do it, so you guys are hands on. Because there's one thing for me to go click, 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 I mean, I'm doing
Right.
things I've done 100 times.
Yeah.
100,000 times. But I'd go, okay, bring your sled in. Here's your tools. This is how this goes. And but if you have somebody that can help you guys back at your place, so be it. But either way, you need to get to here. And the three tools you need are the clippies, the puller, and the holder, and then of course a simple torque wrench. You can use a breaker. You can use an expensive torque wrench, like if you have a snap-on. Okay, don't use it as a breaker bar because they don't like that. Then just use a normal breaker bar, or use a Milwaukee to pop it. And when you do get your new puller, put a little grease on the threads, because brand new pullers are
You're
brand new.
supposed to put a little grease
Little
on
stubborn. They're a little
all the time?
stubborn. Yeah. Well, if you get it on, like mine, I grease maybe once a year, but there's already grease on them. But brand new, a little bit on the tip, a little bit on the threads. So when you're screwing it into the clutch, there's no friction from the threads, you know. And of course, when it hits inside the clutch, there'll be a little friction there too, but not as much as it would be on the threads, because there's a lot of friction there. And sometimes that can stop you, because you're obviously augering that fucker in until it pops that clutch. Worst case scenario, you gun it in, it doesn't want to go, then you grab a hammer like this, and sometimes a little shock wave. You bang right on the puller, just the shock, boom, the clutch will pop off.
They should come out pretty easy now that you've been working on it, right?
Well, yes and no. I mean, it falls in the category of, you know, sometimes they'll just come right off with the right tools.
Okay.
Like I've just switched to this year. I used to always pop them off, and of course you're like, bang, you know, they feel, fuck. It's always like a fight. I bought this damn thing a couple months ago, and I'm like, okay, we're gonna try this, you know, and it just goes, pump. I mean, it's almost like it's taken off of it's like taking a ski bolt off. It's so crazy compared to the manual way where you're pushing, then it pops and you kind of go down, and it's always kind of a catch yourself kind of scenario where this thing is just like, boom, it's in your hands. So, but if that's stubborn, even if that stops, don't just keep hammering on it. Don't be afraid to take your torch, warm up the steel down below where the belt rides. Give it a little bit of heat, not like an hour, just 30 seconds.
Right in here?
Yeah, you put the heat right here. Don't go this way, go this way.
Okay.
So you're heating this hub. Well, of course, that's going to expand because that's metal. And of course, it's not going to quite get through and expand the crankshaft because that's still a cold, basically cold steel, because that's solid steel.
Right.
So 20, 30 seconds on that hub. Hold the clutch, bang it once or twice. I mean, hit it pretty good. There's no deep, deep, deep. Then that shock wave, and then it'll jump off. It'll jump off the sled. Or you can hit it a couple times, then hit it again with the Milwaukee, boom, then it comes off. That's worst case scenario. Usually the Milwaukee it comes right off. So now you get it here. Again, this just slides right off. Well, of course you pop it like I showed you. Pop it on the ground, take the puller out, get it in 3 pieces. Now we're to this point. Either you're going out west or you're coming home. Either way, this guy is just unscrewing. He goes inside here. That's a threaded. He goes inside.
Yeah.
So this is all fucked up, but this
Taking
is
the old out,
the
put the
gist
new
of it.
in, right?
The gist of it. What's that?
Taking the old out and
What?
putting the new in, or is
Well, no,
it
there's
go
no
right in?
there's no
Okay.
old one. It's either this or no
Okay,
this.
okay.
This is what you have in it for Minnesota.
Okay.
Okay.
This is your weight for Minnesota.
Yes.
Just like an Arctic Cat or Polaris, when you went from 56 grams to say 62, when you changed from the mountains, this is the same 6 grams.
So that's the stock weight that's in there all the time?
Yes.
No, well, that's what's in there now.
Yeah.
That's
For
the
sea
high-low
level or-
clutch kit that's in there now.
Okay. Oh,
this
okay.
is your low elevation, just like say 62 grams on a Polaris. You know, it says 62 right on the side. Now, if you go to the mountains on a Polaris, you used to be able to just pry it open with 2 screwdrivers and just take that weight out, because you can work on it on this. It's going to be like yours. Take the 50 or 62 out and you put a 56 in, go to the mountains. That's 6 grams. It's almost the exact same thing across the board. Every brand from high to low is about 6 grams. So, but on this clutch, you have to get to this point, unfortunately, where a Polaris 2 screwdrivers will get you to that point. So anyway, get to here, it just spins right out. Nothing falls out. You just save this in a little baggie on both your sleds, put them on the workbench, put them in a drawer, however you want to do it. Put this back together, put this back on. There's nothing, take your clips, boom, boom, boom. Clips come off, put him back on. And the only thing you want to do, just so you guys,
Line up the dots
before
or
you
whatever.
pop the clutch, now it's off the sled. If you want it just to be safe, so you don't mess yourselves up, I don't care where you put it, just go like this.
Okay.
So then when you put this in there, or go
right
here,
back,
go there, go 1, 2, 3. You have 3 different pieces. You just make those marks, make these marks. So when you put it back together,
Everything's in line.
Yep.
indexed, because you don't want it like this,
Balance
or like
and all
this,
that
because
stuff.
these are balanced. So you don't want these all 3 different positions. Now on your sleds, the E-Tex, when you take it off the crankshaft, take a little light, and right at the end, at the end of the crank, there's like a little piece of white paint. There's a little nick from they make a chisel mark. That's what you have a big circle on your clutch.
Yep, sorry.
Well, this one probably doesn't.
That thing?
No, not that. It's on this one.
Okay.
There'll be a big circle, not quite as big as a dime or nothing, but an obvious large circle on both of your sleds. That large circle is what lines up, because Skidoo clocked it to the crankshaft. On your sled, they actually put a D-shaped cut up. They actually made the newer motors, they actually made a flat. The clutch only goes on one way. You can't even look. You spin it, boom, it drops on. Now your clutches can go on any way. And it isn't a deal breaker, but Skidoo they call it clocking the clutch. If you look close, you got a big circle on the clutch, and you have a notch right at the end of the crank where the bolt goes through. Right here, they put and you might have to use your glasses and use a flashlight. Oh, okay, there it is. Use the rope, recoil it to say 12 o'clock, so you know it's at 12 o'clock. Take your clutch, line it up so the big circle's at 12 o'clock. Gun your bolt in, torque it down, and away you go. That's not a big deal. It's not a deal breaker if you don't get that perfect, so don't lose any sleep over if you're off by an inch. Okay, is it better than not clocking it? Well, yeah, but what's more important is these 3 marks. When you take it apart, you want to make sure these 3 pieces are together, because this is balanced as an assembly. Now, if you put that together all wonky, and that would cause more trouble, vibration,
You'd notice.
than if here's the mark on the crank and here's your circle, anywhere close is fine, because that's like a 2% thing, not a big deal. Make an effort to make it right, but don't lose too much sleep. Go, oh fuck, it's off by 2 millimeters. Just tighten the bolt, you're good. So then of course tighten the bolt, hold with the holder, click, 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 click at least 3 times. I would engage the belt, like rev it up on the track stand. You don't have to go nuts, just engage, hit the brakes, engage, hit the brakes. So the clutch hits the belt 3-4 times. Shut it off, click it one more time just to make sure that, by engaging the clutch,
The torque wrench?
yeah, it didn't lose a little bit of torque. The taper, everything pressing together. Hit it one more time. Click, 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 click.
So
At
torque
88.
specs 80?
88. Just remember 88. And
Just to be clear on these, this is what you have in your
That's-
sled
yeah, 'cause
right
you're
now.
set up for low right
So
now.
we go out west, we
you
just take
those
this
Yeah,
out,
take
and
those
that's
out.
it?
That's it. Then just use your clickers. Yeah, no, that's it.
Sweet.
Pretty
That's
simple.
easy.
Yeah, it's that simple. Yeah. So
These kickers,
just do another one.
it sounds like it. I don't think they celebrate
Yes.
for the.
Touchdown one year.
23-3.
Like the Gophers yesterday. Oh, couldn't
Yeah.
believe that.
Did the Gophers win too? Or?
They smoked them 34-7.
Wild, did it?
Yeah, well, wild.
So that's pretty much on that, huh?
Yeah, so then of course put it back on, torque it, engage the belt, torque it, go to the mountains, use the clickers.
Yeah.
Then when you're in the mountains, we're gonna use Cook City as an example. Do you guys go to Cook?
Haven't been there.
Going
Okay.
to Togety.
You're going to Togi, okay. Go across the highway, you have the trail system right there. The lodge is 600 feet, whatever the hell it is. Just rip across the street. I know the trail's a little goofy, but hit the first straightaway, and once you get up and over the first little hill, there's a little straightaway. Just hit it on the trail. It should over rev a little bit on the trail, like 81, 82, because you're going up.
What's
and
their
the
target?
8. Well, you want 8, but
For their 800s?
yeah, well, 81, 82 on the trail. Don't be afraid to over rev a little bit, because you're You're going up because the lodge is like the lowest,
yeah.
unless you're going down towards Moran. Well, then of course.
Now we're staying at.
But if you go, what's that? You say the lodge.
Staying at the lodge.
But usually go uphill
Yep.
from Togedy. Rarely guys go downhill. So it's always uphill. You're up to the rock garden or where the hell it is, or you go across the street and you go up, or you go up to Two Oceans. Everything's up from the lodge. Brooks Lake is up. That's like 9,500, 10,000 feet. So everything's up. So you're going to lose horsepower, and you're going to be not on the groom trail. You're going to be on deep snow. So let it over rev a little bit on that trail. Look down on your track, and you should be on the big digital readout on both your sleds. I forgot. X. Yours an X or the yellow?
He's
Who's
got
got
a-
the?
I got the
That's
13.
speed free
13,
ride.
okay. You don't have the big digital readout, so your needle, you want to be for sure the needle has to pass the 8. Because on your tack, it reads always a little bit low. So don't be afraid to go a little bit higher on yours just because the needle is not accurate. And yours is the
Free ride.
The free ride. Now you have the digital readout. Now that you should be 8,000 even Steven
Okay.
on a climb, but on the trail 81 is okay.
Okay.
Same with yours. Yours tack, your digital readout, yours is almost spot on, but you want to be 82 on it because that little 600 is a small block Chevy. It's got to be up there, 82 plus or minus 100. So yours revs higher. Both yours, you're both 8,000, but your digital is more accurate than your needle. So you got to be right on because your tack's within 50 RPM.
Okay.
Your tack could be 1 to 200 off. So don't be afraid to experiment when you're on the mountain. You climb a hill, let's just say you guys are like, horse apiece, but your tax was like, say, right on 8,000. Go to the bottom, click it up one. Just go from 3 to 4. So it's like 8,200. Go back up the hill again. If all of a sudden you're like this now, you're like, hee, I'm kicking his ass. Well, you just found probably 4 or 5 horsepower because you're running the right RPM. Well, it's not that it's really an 8,200 RPM motor. It's not. Your tack's probably 200 RPM off. So 82 is actually 8.
I got you.
Okay. You though, you want to be 8, maybe 79, maybe 81, but that's it. You don't want to be past that.
Okay.
8 should be your lowest number. Yours should be 8 to 82 on the needle tag. And same thing with you. Don't be afraid if you're at 7,800 and he's kicking your ass, click yours up
Yeah.
to get to 8. And you same with the 600. If that's running great, but it's okay, it's 8 even, fucking click it up one. Or take a little bit off the pivot bolt, take a gram off. Yours will be a little bit different than these guys. You're pretty much this weight and clickers, that's it. Because you don't really, because full at home is all you need. You don't need any more, any less in the mountains, unless you're going to somewhere rabbit ears that's 11, 12,000 feet. Well, still the empty weight's okay, but you're just automatically, I'd start at click 5 or something. Then you'd be using,
What's Togedy? What's that? 9,000-10,000?
well, it's 8 to 10.
8 to
8 to
10,
10, yeah.
okay.
So you'll be okay in the click 3, click 4, maybe click 5 range at Togedy. But
Depending on the snow, right?
Depending on the snow, exactly. And just every sled's a little bit different. Every performance level of a sled is different. Every rider weight is different.
Yep.
You guys are pretty close, but rider weight
I'm
is
a little slimmer.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying. rider weight dictates
Yeah.
100 RPM also.
Sure.
So on a 13 versus a freaking 17 makes a difference. Your motor's a little stronger than his motor. So that's what I mean. That's where the click up one. Like you might be on click 4 and you might be on click 3. Well, there's nothing wrong with it. You're at 8,000 and you're at 81. It doesn't matter. Yours is your snowmobile and yours is your snowmobile. Even though you're very close, things are the same. They're just slightly different.
They tweaked year after year, probably. But
Yeah. Well, your motor is about 5-6 horsepower stronger than his motor.
Okay.
And it's a 146. I think yours is a 154. So there's just slight variations between them. But at the end of the day, you need to worry about yours at 882. You'd be 82 plus or minus on the 600, and you got to be 8 on the digital readout, 79 to 81.
Okay.
That's all you guys. And if you're one click difference, you don't have to be the same. That's what I'm getting at.
Buy those quick clickers on there, the buttons.
Well, yeah,
it's a lot easier to.
Yeah, and
mess
yours,
with.
honestly, the quick
On the fly.
they changed the clicker. You don't have to take the bolt like all the way out anymore. They just put a
Okay.
little shoulder, so you have to do like 2 turns, push it, turn
Oh,
it.
that's not bad.
So on the newer, yours has it too.
I still might get those.
yeah,
It's just for
you still
guys.
can, but the only problem with that is make sure you use the heavier springs.
Okay.
They make a heavier spring. They give you 2 spring options.
No, so the new catalog has them in there for like $35.
Yeah.
Would
But
that be just read the XM part number, and that's the one you get? Or?
Yeah, quick hooker, they're all the same.
Okay.
But I'm just saying the packaging, there's a separate set of springs packaged separately with the click. Take the springs that are on the little blue guys, throw them away. Take the new springs, put them on. But when you put it on the bolt, you want that spring the blue thing, like way onto the bolt, because you only want to push it. Just remember, it's the shoulder of the bolt. That's gonna be a bad example, but yeah, this will be pretty good. The old clutches, you had to push this whole fucking thing
Yeah.
out to turn it and come back in.
Yeah.
You know,
And
like
you're
new
worried about
clutches-
dropping the nut, right?
Yeah, well, and then the nuts like on the last
Yeah.
thread, like, oh, it's gonna fall in the zone. Well, the newer slides, I think they started at like 11 or 12. They put the numbers on. When they put the numbers on the bolt, is when they changed it.
Okay.
You only have to move it that far. I mean, it literally the head of bolt
Okay.
is like this flange. So it's like 2 turns.
Okay.
Push it out, turn the head,
Well, that
push it
ain't
back in. So they did kind of make. They
So
did
would
make
it really be
quick.
worth it to get those clickers?
Well, that's the
For that
problem. Is
easy?
here's the problem. That's why those heavy springs came in, because the old springs, when these E-Techs shut off,
Mm-hmm.
that magnet's so strong, the clutch kind of goes a wham wham. It does a wiggle, kind of like a Cummins. You know, you get a squeak. Well, that's because the crank kind of does a thing. Well, that can push the click kicker out if you don't have enough spring preload, and it can turn on itself. Next thing you know, you got 3 different numbers. You're like, what the fuck? 179, 135. Why? Okay, well, the spring on the quick clicker, the original ones were too soft, and even the heavy ones, I ran them damn things all the way in, so you only move it just enough to turn the head.
turn.
Because even then, even with the heavy spring, you want as much preload on that little guy. So when it does the little wiggle, when it's just right when it stops, that's when it happens. So it can move, it can pop out. If it's just at the right angle and it kind of does this, the clicker can push out, and then of course it's loaded, can give it a little turn. And you do that a couple times, next thing you know, it's like, 3, 2, 1, and maybe the other one is like 3, 4, 5. Now your clutch is like, what the hell? You got 2 different clickers, and your arms are pushing, and of course these bushings are like, what the fuck?
Or maybe I'll just
Seems
use
like
a
for
wrench.
2 minutes extra
Yeah.
wrenches.
Yeah, so
okay.
so on the older sleds, never a problem because it had to move so far.
Okay.
On the newer E-Techs, it's a pain. Okay, they work, yes. They're a pain in the ass, yes. So anyway, the few times you're gonna change the clicker,
Just
I wouldn't
use
lose.
the wrench quick.
I wouldn't lose any sleep over it. So we're talking once or twice a day, not the
Okay.
most. And that's even just establishing the first day, like Togany.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you end up, you're like, okay, you're going down the trail, you're barely 8,000. You're on click 3 right now. Just click it to 4. Okay, cool. 81, 82. Fucking leave it. Go up the mountain. If it holds 81, 82 and it's running, well, you don't have to do nothing. You're done.
Yeah.
You're done. Unless you happen to load up the trailer and drive to Yellowstone for the way home. You stop in Yellowstone, which is now 6,000, 7,000 feet instead of 8, 9. You would probably just click back to 3 then for the one day you stop at Island Park. Or,
Same as the numbers, up or down.
yeah, it's the
One,
same number.
200 or
And
something?
then, or vice versa. If you stop at Yellowstone on the way to, say, Cook City for whatever reason, you ride a day with some other friends. Okay, click 3 was spot on. I'm climbing right up the hill. I'm right at 80, 100 or whatever. But you just know that when you get to Togany or get to Cook City, again, just know your elevation.
Yep.
Yellowstone, Island Park's 6 to 8. Cook City, the town's 8,800 feet. So just unloading, jumping out of the truck, you're already 800 feet higher than the top of the mountain in Yellowstone. So just know that you just lost, when you pull your snowmobile out, you've lost 10, 12 horsepower than Yellowstone. That's why you gotta change the clutch, is your horsepower. Minnesota's, you're 160 horse. Black Hills, you're 150 horse. Yellowstone, you're 140 horse. Top of the world, you're freaking 130 horse. You're a 600. Your 800's his motor at 8,000 feet. That's why the clutching has to change. So, okay.
Good.
Any questions here? You
Nope.
guys pretty
Done.
cool? Okay.